Hi, we're back. What we're going to do now is make one of my favorite dishes to make, which is a pecan-crusted lamb rack. Right here we have our fresh lamb that has been French, which means that the skin has been taken off of the bones. We have roasted pecans, panko breadcrumbs, fresh thyme, and a little bit of that sauce that we use on our acorn squash a few minutes ago, a pomegranate glaze, salt and pepper, Dijon mustard, grapeseed oil, and some wonderful nice butter that we melted off, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do with that. Let's get cooking. First thing that you want to do is to season your lamb rack on both sides. Why? Because you're going to eat both sides, am I right? So you want to have that good seasoning. So you want to liberally sprinkle your salt and pepper across both sides, the front, turn it over, and then you want to go ahead and season the bottom part as well. Okay? Now, once you have that done, you want to go ahead and heat up your pan. And of course, I've already started heating this one up. You want to add in a little bit of your grapeseed oil, about 1 tablespoon's worth. Okay? Just like so. And once you have that in, you want to put the skin side down of your lamb rack into that pan and start to roast it off. Okay? And of course, when you hear that sizzle, that means that you're working with something. Okay? So now, as that goes, I've already taken one of the lamb racks and already roasted it off so that we can go ahead and proceed with what we're doing. What we're going to do now is make our crust. You want to take your pecans, put those on the plate. You want to take your panko breadcrumbs, and then your fresh thyme. And then you always want to make sure that you season everything that you're working with. So we're going to take a little bit of our salt and pepper and add that in. You want to give that a nice mix, just like so, okay, to make you a nice crust. And you want to pat it out so that as you lay your lamb down on there, it evenly coats your lamb as you're going along, okay? Now, your next step that you want to do is to take your lamb rack, take a little bit of your Dijon mustard, and you want to just lather that right across the top of that, okay? Just like so. And don't be shy with it. Go ahead and get in there and get it all over. You want it on the bottom, and you also want to go underneath as well. Why? Because you're eating both sides like we said before. Remember? Okay? Now that you have that lathered all the way around, the next thing is to go ahead and take your lamb rack, place it down into your breadcrumbs, and then firmly press it down just like so. Then come across to the bottom and press it down again, okay, all the way around. So now it's nice and even, just like that and just like this across the bottom. Now you want to take that rack and put it on your sheet pan. If you don't have a rack like this, it's perfectly fine. You can go ahead and just use a regular pan with some aluminum foil and it'll come out just the same, okay? Now that we have that done, we'll go ahead and flip this over, and as you see, it's getting a little brown just like we want it to, and we'll let this sit for just about maybe 40 seconds or so, okay? And while we're doing that, we'll go ahead and just tidy up, put everything together, and get ready so that we can go ahead and add our crust to that. You want to go ahead and reform your crust just like so. If you think you need to add a little bit more, you can. And one other thing, you don't have to use thyme. You can use any herb that you want, a little marjoram, you can use a little rosemary, and because it's lime, what else can you use? You can use mint, because you know mint is our traditional herb that goes with lamb. So, now that we have this lamb ready, we go ahead, give it a little more of a sear, we take it out, and we repeat that same process all over again. You're going to take our mustard, put this over. And another thing as well, on our recipe it says Dijon mustard. You're more than welcome to go ahead and use honey Dijon mustard. There's a mustard out right now that's great. It's a blue cheese herb mustard. You're welcome to grab that. That's found in specialty stores. Okay. And now we'll go ahead and recreate the same process. Put it down into our herbs. Okay, press it down. Then come right back over the top again, under the bottom, just like so. And there you are, all right? Now we'll take and put this on our rack as well. Sit them a little bit a little bit differently because you don't want the bones to lay on top of these because it's going to disturb our crust. All right. Now, the next thing that you want to do is go ahead and take it and put it in our oven at 400 degrees. And we're going to cook it for about 15 to 20 minutes so that you have the internal temperature of 145 to 150, which will give you a mid-rare center. Okay. And that's how I really like mine. Not bloody, but still I like it to be nice and moist on the inside. Okay. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and take it and put it right into our oven, and we'll be right back.
Lights, camera, action. Don't miss the best movies in Miami at the Tower Theater. 305-642-1264.
We're back. Our lamb is out of the oven. We've let it rest a few minutes, and now it's time for the presentation. What you want to do is take your lamb, and today instead of cutting each bone, we're going to cut 2 bones, okay? So you're going to go through with your knife. Make sure you're very careful. And even if that crust comes off just like that, that's perfectly okay, because we're still going to use it anyways, okay? And you go ahead and you cut your lamb into these nice chops, just like so. Okay. Then you want to come over to your plate and crisscross them so that they stand up real nice and pretty, just like that. Okay. And we'll take this one, put it up just like this. And since we got it here, why not go ahead and use this other one as well, right? So you want to cut down. And as you see, it's a perfect mid-rare. Okay? We prayed to the culinary gods and they blessed us, and we got a perfect mid-rare. Okay? And then you want to take these, and you can place it just like this right around on top of our acorn squash. And this is a perfect holiday plate right here. Now, remember we had our sauce from our acorn squash, the pomegranate sauce. What we're going to do now is take that and drizzle it across just like that, right over the top of our lamb and our acorn squash. And remember, this sauce also has a hint of that mint on the inside of it, so it's going to actually do very, very well with that lamb. And then our last step is to take that butter that we had, and what we did is we browned the butter, which means that we actually let it cook down so that the milk solids will go to the bottom of the pan, and as they do, they start to brown, which gives it a nice nutty flavor. But you want to be careful. You only want to brown that butter for, once it melts, you only want to brown it for maybe about half a minute, 30 seconds or so, because then it'll go directly into burning, and that's something that you don't want to do. So we're going to take a little bit of that butter, and yes, those of you that are on a diet, you may want to close your eyes, because we are going to sprinkle that butter, drizzle it right over the top of that. Because think about that. You got those nice pecans, you got that lamb, you got that acorn squash, you got that pomegranate, and now you got some brown butter. Oh my goodness. So there we are. You have pecan-crusted lamb rack with acorn squash and a nice pomegranate glaze to go on top, fresh mint, and brown butter. Bon appetit.